Vukovich.
Here.
Essex.
Here.
Dixon.
Here.
Bronner. Lyle. Here. Carried.
Here.
And approval of September 8th minutes.
I move we approve the minutes as distributed and dispense with the reading of such minutes.
Move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve them as distributed. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Thank Al Chaffee for that.
All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Visitors? Looks like we're pretty well. Muskingum TV is here. Thank you, Muskingum. Reports. Just, I guess, to start, this is actually kind of the second meeting of September. I'd like to thank council because we've had some pretty intense meetings between the two meetings, including wrapping up John's retirement. So thank you, council, for making this intervening meeting tonight. So reports, Solicitor Scott. Anything?
Thank you, Greg. Other than the contracts and things that I've reviewed, I don't have anything to report on. I would like to join in thanking John for all the things he's done for me over the last 22 years. It certainly made my job significantly easier. Thank you.
Scott. Police Chief. Chief Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a full report today. I'll have a full one in October. But I did receive an email just this afternoon about our community-oriented policing grant that I applied for. Unfortunately, though, I did not receive it. They had 1,296 applicants and only able to fund 215. So it was quite the pool to be chosen from, and unfortunately, we weren't chosen. So try to put together a plan B and bring that to the safety committee as soon as I can, and just keep progressing with that. Come up with some other ideas. So.
You said that was the resource?
That was for a resource officer, yes. We did not get that one, so.
Thank you, Chief, and thanks. Even though we didn't get it for your efforts, at least we had a chance, and maybe we can look at alternatives now. Thank you. Fire Chief, Chief Gates.
I had nothing other than that piece of legislation.
Mayor's report. Just a reminder that we, at our last meeting, decided to go with trick or treat or Halloween on October 30th from 6 to 7, just to keep from conflicting with other activities we were at that night. If there's residents who don't want to wish not to participate, just keep your lights down and be proceeding with that. We have a proclamation, which I would like to just hold until closer to our. We did have a recognition and staff meeting acknowledging John's work with the entire village staff last week. Thank you, Charlotte and Lynn and our office staff for organizing that event. We also had the same opportunity at 5 o'clock today, so thank you for all those that were able to attend and participate. It was a great opportunity to thank John for his dedicated work, so I'll have some more words to say about that in the proclamation at the end. John, did you want to say anything?
Thanks everybody. Too much.
That's all I had for my report at this time. So, policy? I guess that would be Jen.
Yeah.
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure, I haven't met since last time we met.
Okay. Finance, Steve.
Finance. Get rested. This will be a long one. Actually, almost all council members were there, and we talked about the bonding for the improvements to the new business corner. And that will be ordinance H9-14-1. And that, the low bidder on that was Community Bank, by far lowest and most responsible. So we will be recommending that council approve that. And then the other thing we talked about was the ODOT resolution for Safe Routes to School project that we simply have to approve, and that is a resolution 914-5, and this will improve our village in several significant ways and be very, very cost effective. A third thing we talked about was the wastewater effluent sales project with Kilbuck, and we have developed a proposal to be presented to them for resolution, and that would be resolution R10-14-1. And then we talked about the Glen Historic Site request for support, and the committee is recommending, help me if I'm wrong here, 3 years at $1,000 a year plus the in-kind work that we do, provided we have funds available. Is that it? And you, that is resolution number 11-14-1. So you're all informed about the details of all those, and I think we have agreement across the board on all of them as to where we want to go. So when that comes up, we will be making those recommendations. Anything else need to be said, or?
I think other than a couple of those will be just first reading.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah.
And a couple of them will have to be done on emergency.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a factor.
Yeah, the Kilbuck one is the first reading, and the others are emergencies as I look at them.
The Glen site is a first reading.
The Glen site says emergency, you're probably right, but
It shouldn't be, I think.
Yeah, it's a typo in the
is
agenda.
the first reading?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
I'm
any questions for Steve for that report? Any comments?
I don't have any answers anyhow. You want to ask, go ahead, but.
Okay. There's a lot of work done, Steve, by your committee and all of council, so thank you for your efforts. Any comments, statements? Okay, thank you, Steve. Safety, Brett?
Thanks, Greg. Safety did not meet tonight. One piece of legislation on the docket, a resolution, just changing some language in our charges for non-emergency transports. The fire chief needs to be placed in there for billing, is the only thing on the docket tonight.
Okay. And fiscal officer, then, Lynn.
Thank you, Greg. The only thing that I have to report is that I just want to let you know that the state auditors are still here. They are wrapping up their on-site work, and it's been a very lengthy full audit. I've been here 15 years and never been through the full audit.
I've been here 22 years, we've never been through an audit like this. It's been a tedious process. I think they'll have some good recommendations. We won't have, I don't think we will receive a totally perfect audit we've received in the past. There'll be some recommendations. Things like the Records Retention Commission, we really haven't activated in there, and stuff like that. I think we're going to come out there. They're probably all things we meant to have done, and maybe to have inspired Charlotte to get it done.
It's good. I mean, the recommendations that they're giving us so far is good. It's good, but it's just going to be some changes that we're going to be making. We'll get through it.
Expect additional readings when we compare to previous audits.
Okay.
And then I would just like to thank John
Thank you
for your leadership, and your dedication, and your hard work to the village. And on behalf of the staff, we'll definitely miss you. Dry eyes.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank you. Administrators, we briefly have two. So, John or Charlotte? Is this John?
I'm gonna defer to John.
Okay.
It's one last time.
Just a quick update on the street project. We did complete those. It turned out great. East High Street, Sherry Allen extension, and we've done a few other projects. We did a major storm sewer project on Kirkwood Drive, Ron had that big one over here. And I believe he has some major patching lined up tomorrow. He has some major patching on the flat, some other areas around town. I think I'm missing.
That's it.
If that east,
Don't miss any potholes.
John, on that East High renovation, are we gonna get rid of the water on that? Do we know yet?
The rain we've
Yes.
had is worth, but we haven't had it.
Okay,
So far, been good.
Kenny said his basement is dry.
good, good, okay.
That's great.
And did they come back today? They're
They
supposed
did
to-
not, but they were supposed to come back today and redo the yard in between the sidewalks and the curb. They didn't show up, so hopefully tomorrow they'll be here.
Yeah,
Get that done.
Looks
Get the
good.
grass seed growing.
I don't know if anybody knows or not, but the bridge is open down here.
I was
John's
wait-
been on this project from the start, and they're supposed to come in and do some major repairs, reclamation on roads and areas around the project. We don't actually have
Hopefully-
scheduled that yet. Should be happening soon.
Hopefully before very long, they'll come in and do what they said they would do.
Patch Reservoir Road, Old Brixton's Road, and areas around Maple Lane, just patching the yards.
ODOT is planning to do that? Oh,
It was in the project from the start. They actually come in and video the local neighbors, and so they have a record of previous condition.
oh, I see, so they'll come in and repair.
you did
Okay.
mention bridge.
Yeah,
Also, talked to the railroad last week about the railroad bridge, and one of the engineers indicated that it has been low graded, but they don't have the final information back from their consultant. They do expect it to be repaired. As a matter of fact, he's already ordered materials, so hopefully within the next 30 to 45 days, that bridge will be repaired.
Great.
great.
Mayor, you have, and I have, several of us in the past have talked to them about maybe leveling all that up. Was that any part of the discussion this time?
It was. It probably depends on how they load rate the bridge. And it sounds like they've come to a reasonable load rated bridge that won't reduce the load rating too much lower than it is now, and essentially repair it to make it, put it in its present condition. So we may have had to fall back to an alternative plan if they would have deemed it unsafe at any load rating. We may have had to explore other options, but it sounds like they've figured a way to make it work. Is that right, Don?
Correct. And someone tested it last night, right, John?
Or Friday night,
Friday
Oh, my gosh.
Got the cable.
Unsurprising. I was only disappointed that there was no ribbon cutting when the bridge opened.
Everyone just wanted to do.
We were just in a hurry to get the cars across. Exactly.
Well, we should acknowledge, and I think probably due to some efforts of John and our staff here, that it was opened earlier than it needed to be. So we saved maybe a month out
About
of
3 weeks, yeah.
3 or 4 weeks from the target. So and those projects can easily go late. So this one went early. So thanks for your efforts to do that, guys.
Just, last thing is just thanks to everybody, for all of your support. Thanks for the parties that, Lynn and Evan and Charlotte and everyone put together. We had a nice staff meeting last week. The staff gave me a really nice present. Just lucky to have such a great team of people that care. They don't look at it as just a job. They care about the people that they care about. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for the administrators? I only say that one meeting. Okay. Charlotte, did you have anything? you wanted to say?
No, I'm just excited to be here. I've said it a couple times, but I truly am very excited to be with New Concord. And John has left the village in great condition, and I am very, very appreciative of everything that he's done, and as well as the rest of the staff, everyone that I've worked with. Like John said, truly cares about the village, and it's more than just a job to them. So I'm very lucky to have such a wonderful staff and partners to work with, and I have very supportive council, so I'm ready to jump in.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Any old business then? New business. Ordinance number H9141, an ordinance providing for the issuance of $190,000 bonds by the Village of New Concord, Ohio, in anticipation of the issuance of bonds for the purpose of paying the cost of street and alley improvements, curb and sidewalk replacements, water and sewer improvements, utility relocations and easements, together with all the necessary appurtenances thereto, and declaring an emergency.
So moved on the emergency.
Moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Jen. Jennifer, any further questions on the ordinance? Roll call on the ordinance then, please.
Turkovich,
Yes.
Lyle,
Yes.
Essig,
Yes.
Dixon,
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
And now the ordinance.
I move that we pass the ordinance.
I
Moved by-
second that.
Moved by Jennifer, second by Steve, that we draw the ordinance H9141. Roll call.
Lyle,
Yes.
Turkovich,
Yes.
Essig,
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Ordinance carries. Now, Resolution 914-5, resolution to authorize the village administrator in an agreement for the construction of a safe routes to school project through the Ohio Department of Transportation on behalf of the village of New Concord and declaring an emergency.
So moved on the emergency?
Moved by Bill. Second. Second by Robert. Any further questions on the resolution? Roll call on the emergency.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Turkovich,
Yes.
Essig,
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Resolution carries. Now, Resolution 914-6, a resolution authorizing charges for non-emergency transport of a deceased person to funeral home or more. Declaring
Greg, we have to
emergency.
pass the resolution.
I'm gonna pass the resolution.
I'm sorry. Let's go back and pass the resolution of 914-5.
I move we pass it.
Moved by Robert.
I'll second it.
Second by Bill, I'm sorry. Roll call on the resolution.
Dixon.
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Turkovich.
Yes.
Essig,
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Now the resolution carries. Now let's look at 914-6, authorizing for charges of non-emergency transport as stated earlier.
So move on the emergency.
Moved. Is there a second?
Yes.
Moved by Brett, second by Robert. Any further discussion? Roll call on the emergency for 914-6.
Essig,
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Turkovich,
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Now the resolution.
So move on the resolution.
Moved.
Second.
Seconded. Roll call.
Dixon.
Yes.
Essig,
Yes.
Turkovich,
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Resolution carries. Now, Resolution 1014-1, resolution to authorize the mayor into an agreement with Killbuck, first reading.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Steve, second by Jennifer. Roll call on the first reading of ordinance 1014-1.
Turkovich,
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
Essig,
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
First reading carries. Now, Resolution 1114-1, a resolution to authorize historic site for the years 2015, 16, and 17.
So moved.
Moved by Bill.
Second.
Second by Brett. This is the first reading. Any further discussion? Roll call on the first reading then.
Kerrigan.
Yes.
Essig,
Yes.
Turkovich,
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Lyle.
Yes.
The resolution carries. Now approval of bills.
I move we pay the bills.
Move that we pay the bills as listed. Any questions or discussion? Is there a second for that?
Second.
Moved and seconded. You got that, Lynn?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All in favor of approving the bills as listed, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Announcements, we have the next council meeting the 13th. and a finance committee sometime the week of the 6th, I think potentially the 9th, I think. The only other announcement that I wanted to have was just formally ending the meeting with recognition and proclamation that I read during our previous celebration that acknowledges John's work. So I'd like, if council will allow me to read this again, even though some have read it, heard it before. Before I read it, though, I do want to say it's been really a proud time for me to serve with John in his capacity. He's really made being a mayor look like maybe a little bit easier than it is, because he's led a great staff of folks behind the scenes that's worked very hard to make it look smooth and easy. And really, we've all, I think, as council folks and as a village, benefited from those kinds of good management, John. So I consider myself lucky to do that, and I think a sign of that professionalism is even just in the last 2 or 3 weeks as we're transitioning Charlotte. John has really been working really hard with Charlotte, and as she indicated, working hard to do a knowledge transfer as best we can. And even John has offered assistance even downstream if we have some oddball things pop up. We're going to try to give John at least some, isolate him a little bit, give him a little bit of time to kind of decompress. But that is a sign of John's professionalism and Charlotte's professionalism to be able to almost kind of drink from a fire hose for a while. But a lot of villages don't have the luxury of having an overlap like this, and many times it may go for months while we're kind of limping along during a transition. We've been fortunate to have Charlotte, who's been willing to arrange her schedule, and certainly John. It reflects John's desire more deeply, as he sees it more than just a job, that he really does care about the community, and this transition has been a piece of that. So again, thank you, John. So I'm going to read the proclamation from the office of mayor. Whereas the village administrator, John Huey, has reached a moment in his life when and where he feels that he needs to turn a new chapter and retire from his responsibilities in New Concord. And whereas John Huey has dedicated over 22 years of his professional career toward making the New Concord community an excellent place to live and make a life. And whereas John Huey, during his service, was responsible for acquiring well over $1 million in grants and loans that have been put to work in a variety of critical projects in the community, which will have an enduring impact to our village. John, do you probably know what that number is? It might exceed $2 million.
It's over $3 million.
That's
Hey, million.
Maybe we should amend that.
A little white
We
out.
could have an official amendment. So
You said well over $1 million.
it did. So
Covers all bases.
It's accurate.
Yeah.
It's a true statement.
That-
You're
that-
fine.
It might
I have a
make it
magic
look
marker.
ugly, so whereas the community has undergone a great deal of change during that time, driven by the needs of Muskingum University, East Muskingum School District, and a variety of private and public sector partners, as well as residential development, and whereas the Administrator Huey was instrumental in careful planning during this growth to ensure the essential small town feel of New Concord is maintained and enhanced. Whereas Administrator Huey is known to have been personally motivated and driven to focus on resident needs and making village customers and citizens top priority in all village operations, and I think John will attest to that. John, you've heard that before, haven't you? Yeah. And whereas it takes a special patience to work for the public, where everyone is the customer, and Administrator Huey was able to carefully balance the needs of individual interests with the best needs of the larger community. And whereas Administrator Huey operated responsibly within a budget and demonstrated remarkable ability to keep budget carryovers from year to year, even during extraordinary economic conditions. And whereas Administrator Huey has always been level-headed and professional under stress. And whereas Administrator Huey has been a part of building a group of dedicated and hardworking village team employees and associates who are dedicated and proud to make the most of village services. And therefore, I, Greg Adams, Mayor, on behalf of the people of New Concord, do hereby proclaim this moment as John Huey Day in the village of New Concord is a small token of gratitude and recognition for his many years of dedication and service to the people of our community. Signed, Mayor Greg Adams. John, congratulations. If you want to say any few final?
I've made enough speeches.
Okay.
Thanks to everyone, the lawyers, for, especially John.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
All right. So with that, unless council has any further business,
We adjourn.
to adjourn, is there a second?
I'll second that right after, I think, speaking for council. I know everybody's always said, John, it's been great working with you over the years. And I'll definitely echo what the mayor said. You made our life on council
Very easy.
very easy. It is, and you know, and something else the mayor said that really echoes is in business, we all go through people that retire out and change. And there's an old phrase that talks about so many retire and so many leave before they retire. I give you kudos for you went 150% right up to the last day. That definitely does say a lot about who you've been and who you are. I definitely echo that and appreciate that from council standpoint. So
Thank you. And my pleasure working, so.
thanks, John.
Okay.
Thanks, Brad.
And I'll second the adjournment.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, council.
Folks on that
Thank you.
finance committee, if all of you could make it, because it'll be.
Yes.
We're gonna
Thursday at
need your
6.
wisdom collectively, and we can figure out where we are, if you can make that.
So we hand this
Okay.
back to
Thursday
you,
the
John.
9th at
Thank you,
6.
Steve.
And we need to set up a date too. John brought this to me, so that I should give it back to you.
Finance
But
committee.
I should be.